Welcome to Whimsy Woven Stories, where imagination takes flight and every tale is a journey into wonder. Here, we breathe life into the pages of timeless stories and create new adventures that spark joy and curiosity. Whether you're a lover of classic fairy tales, fantastical adventures, or heartwarming fables, you'll find a story to capture your heart and stir your imagination. Join us as we weave a tapestry of whimsy and wonder, one story at a time.
I am glad that karma exists, and she has comprehended it. After a fierce struggle, the winner received all her caresses. Finally, I, Eddie Hansen, received an invitation to her apartment, where at dinner, she informed me that I was her chosen one. The battle for her heart was intense between Elliot Robertson and me before our mutual love interest, Linda, made his decision. Elliot and I were from competing clubs, but we both joined the local football team when it moved to the first division. We both excelled at football and became recognized stars in our Scandinavian town. Being single men, we enjoyed the attention of local girls until we met Linda. It happened in a trendy cafe where Linda temporarily worked as a waitress while she was looking for a job as a hairdresser. We both started flirting with her and were soon vying for her affections. Despite our attempts to win her over, Linda refused to choose one of us, not wanting to let her go. The three of us began to meet regularly, although it was a stupid idea. But she was an extremely attractive woman, so it was worth a try. She treated both Elliot and me fairly, ensuring that none of us could win her over before she chose one of us. Although we had many other beautiful women we could pursue, our relationship turned into a silly competition that neither of us wanted to lose. It wasn't easy to play this game, as Linda seemed to enjoy the thrill and did her best to drag it out a little longer than necessary. Over time, it became clear to me that Elliot was leading the game. This realization came to me when rumors began to spread about a local illegal bookmaker accepting bets on Linda's choice. The previously equal odds no longer amused me. Elliot found out about the bookmaker himself and that the odds of winning were most likely not in his favor. He suspected that the bookmaker had received insider information from Linda's friends. When even Linda's closest friend hinted at Elliot's advantage, Elliot wasted no time and made a big bet with the bookmaker. Even with low coefficients, it would still bring him a decent and completely risk-free profit. Throughout our rivalry, Elliot and I saw our close friendship deteriorate, as he couldn't help but tease me about his expected victory over Linda. His bragging got to the point where he vowed to post videos of depraved tricks that he would force Linda to perform for his pleasure. He even planned to celebrate his triumph with a wild party at a friend's data where I would not be there, but a seductive stripper would be present. Alcohol flowed freely, but the real excitement began only after the seductive stripper appeared on stage. According to the friends present, she staged an amazing performance, as a result of which every man in the hall felt excitement. One of her friends felt awkward and asked what the stripper had that she didn't have. In a fit of jealousy, she rushed onto the stage and began to undress, prompting the others to follow her example. Soon, the rest of the girls joined her, making a wild scene with a striptease on stage. The crowd of intoxicated and excited young people quickly took off their clothes, and no one could blame them for getting carried away by the moment. The host of the party came up with a clever idea. He pulled out the main fuse, plunging the room into darkness, and invited them to have fun in the dark for 15 minutes. The crowd enthusiastically agreed, and so began the most famous party in our Scandinavian city. For most of the participants, these would have been just humorous memories of anonymous meetings in the dark. If Greg Jensen hadn't been there, it wouldn't have become a famous party. Greg was hired to film a striptease and a party as a gift to Elliot. He went unnoticed by everyone, filming the holiday with his high-tech video camera equipped with infrared illumination for shooting in low light. Despite the fact that we had never met, Greg seemed to prefer me to Elliot and even bet on me. When Greg witnessed Elliot being taken advantage of by a famous scandalous blonde on the floor, he did what many would do in such a situation: he recorded it. This unexpected turn of events eventually turned a potential loss into a profit for Greg. But giving a copy of the video to Linda was not the most ethical decision, and as a result, she asked Elliot to leave. Elliot threatened to sue Greg but never brought the case to an end. Although Greg was completely innocent in the situation, Elliot accused me of depriving him of his money and Linda's innocence, which she actually betrayed many years ago. He even threatened to take revenge on me. He was an ardent loser. He also tried not to pay the bookmaker until one of the bookmaker's friends intervened. Fortunately, Elliot's contract was bought out by another football team, and he left town shortly after the party. To my relief, our connection was cut off. A few years later, I heard rumors about his marriage, and I thought, well done. With my football income, I bought a beautiful house where Linda and I decided to live together. It was her idea not to get married until we had lived together for 10 years and could arrange a grand wedding celebration. This idea did not seem unusual to me because many couples in our area preferred to live together without tying the knot. Linda believed that married couples often calm down and lose the initial spark in a relationship. I didn't mind sharing a bed with her, regardless of whether we had rings on our fingers or not. It didn't matter to me. Now we have 2 beautiful children, 4 and 6 years old. In addition to playing for the local football team, I continued to study to become an accountant and also worked part-time at an accounting firm. After giving up football after 5 years of our relationship, Linda and I decided to open our own accounting business. It turned out to be a good choice, which brought us a good profit in a short time. Linda and I were approaching our 9th year together. Despite the small differences and the decrease in passion, I still believed that we had a strong relationship. The 10-year milestone was only a matter of time, and I understood that some changes were inevitable. Our big wedding was only 2 months away, and Linda and Mom were diligently planning every detail. They chose the location for the wedding, hired an orchestra, and ordered a vintage Bentley to take us on our special day. There were plans for a honeymoon in Bali, but when it seemed that everything fell into place, disaster struck out of the blue. On a quiet Thursday evening after work, I was struck by lightning. I was in the kitchen with the kids when Linda burst into the room and screamed, "How could you do this to me?" she demanded. Confused, I asked, "What did I do?" But she couldn't stand it. "Don't play dumb. Why did you do that in your stupid class?" I tried to reason with her, to ask for an explanation, but she wouldn't listen. "Don't pretend to be innocent. Can't you just admit it like a man? What should I confess? Who is she?" I couldn't take it anymore and screamed back, fed up with these nonsense in front of the children. "Are you under the influence of drugs? Calm down and explain when the children are asleep." Instead of answering, she went into our bedroom and stayed there all evening. When I finally went in there after feeding the children and putting them to bed, she told me to sleep in the guest room from now on. I refused, saying that it was her decision, and if she didn't want to sleep in the same bed with me, she could sleep somewhere else. She left silently, leaving no explanation. The next morning was filled with awkward silence. Finally, I plucked up the courage and asked her a question about her previous behavior. "Could you explain what was wrong yesterday?" She replied cryptically, saying only, "We'll discuss it tonight. My parents have agreed to look after the children for the weekend." On Friday evening, we spent a shortened version of our typical family activities with the children, and to my relief, we both managed to maintain a facade of normality until Linda took them to her parents. When she returned, she brought food from a new Mongolian restaurant, and I uncorked a bottle of wine. While we were eating and chatting about the children, she suddenly asked, "Why did you deceive me?" Surprised, I replied, "Cheated? I have never deceived you." "No, you lied." "I have proof," she insisted. "When and where?" "Please show me these so-called proofs," I demanded. "Do you want to marry me, or should you cancel the wedding?" "What is it?" she asked. "I love you and have been waiting for our wedding for 10 years, but the decision is yours. Just stop this farce," I begged. "I can confidently declare my innocence in response to your accusations. The cheating incident you mentioned, regardless of when and where it allegedly occurred, happened during my last tax information class. It is important to note that 28 men and 2 women attended the classes, and all of them were accompanied by their spouses. Before you decide to destroy the foundation that we have been building hard over the past 10 years, I ask you to kindly ask everyone who attended the classes. This accusation looks like a calculated ploy, but it lacks the ingenuity to shake my faith in my innocence. I urge you to reveal the source of this misinformation, as it is most likely someone who harbors ill feelings towards me or is jealous of our marriage. I don't remember if she answered. The last thing I remember about that night is how exhausted I felt and how Linda helped me get to my bedroom. On Saturday morning, I woke up in my bed with a splitting headache and abdominal pain. My mouth went dry, and I found that I couldn't move my arms or legs. To my horror, I realized that I was lying diagonally on the bed, with my wrists and ankles tied to the bedposts. The pain in my stomach increased, and before I could think about what to do next, I threw up. I managed to change my position so that I fell on Linda's side in our new luxurious bed. Gathering my strength, I called out to her, and she entered the room. Based on my army experience, I knew that in such tense situations, it was important to remain calm and try to establish communication. So I started by asking her to help me with my headache, asking for water and aspirin. When she saw the condition of the new bed, fear appeared on her face, and she quickly left the room to return with aspirin and a bottle of water. While tidying herself up, she confessed to me, "Our friend who caught you cheating is here, and I plan to thank him with intimacy as revenge for your infidelity. When we're even, I promise to be a faithful wife. Do you understand the consequences of your actions? Are you really ready to cancel the wedding?" She answered my question simply, "You will marry me if you really love me. Otherwise, my friend promised to take your place." "Who is he? Are you really sure he knows me, or has he ever been to a course? Tell me who he is. Let me talk to him, and I'll show you that he's just trying to get you to have sexual intercourse. You'll see him. We have a TV camera in the spare room, and you'll see everything on this monitor. If you had confessed yesterday, I would have retaliated at the hotel without telling you anything. Don't blame me. You denied everything and preferred PR to be like this." I noticed a color monitor on the bedside table, obviously with a wireless connection to a TV camera in the spare room. She was showing an empty room and a bed. "Where did you manage to get such expensive equipment? It looks like your complicated plan was carefully thought out in advance." "My friend rented it. Please try to stay calm and understand that for sure there is someone who strongly despises me or both of us and is trying to destroy our relationship. Can't you see that you're falling into a trap? If you really love him more than you love me and you want to marry him instead of me, why do you need this leapfrog? You are a free woman, and you can leave me at any moment. You don't deserve my hatred. He is very dear to me, but my love for you is much stronger. I hope that you love me and can forgive me as I will forgive you in return. We won't be able to move forward if you keep acting like this. If you really love me, let's take a break for a week and talk to everyone who attended this event. If someone confirms your suspicions, I'll let you do whatever you want with him before we get married. Please, Linda, don't throw away 10 years of our happiness, and don't cancel our wedding. Despite our pleasant conversation, I am still completely convinced of your infidelity, and I'm no longer ready for any new agreements." She showed no signs of backing down, so I realized that petting was ineffective and changed my approach. "Ro," I spoke harshly. "If you cheat on me in my own house, I will find this man and give him a brutal showdown. Such actions will destroy our relationship and lead to the fact that you will immediately leave my house with no chance of reconciliation. I will never, under any circumstances, forgive such a betrayal. Do you understand what I'm telling you? Use common sense and stop this behavior if you care about me, or continue risking being kicked out of this house today. Just don't come crying to me later." Now she was furious and screaming. Then she hit me in the face, gagged me with a silver ribbon, and ran out of the room. I hoped that I had sown doubts in her soul because the bed in the spare room remained untouched. And I overheard, as it seemed to me, an argument. But my hope faded when I looked at the monitor. The camera was installed in our spare bedroom, where after buying a new expensive bed, we put our old double bed on which I was now lying, feeling helpless. Suddenly, Linda entered the room completely undressed, and soon after her, a man in a rubber mask who looked like Elvis Presley. I couldn't make out who was hiding behind the mask. Linda spoke up, "Now it's your turn to be deceived. Are you satisfied?" Then she told him to lie down and began to engage in intimacy with him. After a while, she exclaimed, "Oh, I feel so good." Revenge is a dish that is best served cold. As a result, Elvis decided to make love to Linda from behind. He didn't use protection, but I didn't care because I didn't have the slightest desire to be with Linda again. To my horror, Elvis was silent all this time, clearly trying to hide his identity. Deciding to escape, I focused on staying calm and not making the situation worse, because if I panicked, I would tighten the knots even tighter. It only took me a few seconds to figure out how to escape. The weak link turned out to be the tie that secured my wrist to the bedpost. It was a flimsy tie made of a strange thin material, and I hoped it could be easily torn. I bought it while on vacation in Thailand because of the bright colors, intending to use it as a playful party accessory, but Linda always forbade me to use it. She knew that I would throw away everything she used to restrain me, so she deliberately chose ties that she didn't like. Looking at the monitor, I realized that I needed to act quickly to get free. While Linda was ecstatically shouting about her lover's prowess, I struggled to free myself from the bonds binding my wrists to the foot of the bed. With a surge of strength, I managed to escape. The first thing I did was take the key ring out of my left pocket. Among the keys was a miniature Swiss Army knife given to me many years ago by a grateful client. I silently thanked him for choosing quality because now he was letting me work on the escape. I managed to pull the blade out of the scabbard, holding the knife between my teeth. I began to cut the bonds binding my wrists. It took some effort, even with a sharp blade, but eventually, I managed to free myself. After that, I easily cut the bonds at my ankles and finally found freedom. While I was doing this, I heard Linda talking to the camera, talking about her misconceptions. She claimed she was only doing it out of love, planning to betray me one last time before he left our house. What a stupid and deceitful woman. Did she really think there was anything left between us other than disgust? I resisted the urge to use a weapon, realizing that it could lead to chaos. Instead, I took a pair of gloves from the closet at the entrance, put them on, and quietly made my way to the guest room on the second floor. Standing behind the closed door, I listened to the sounds of their pleasure before plucking up the courage to open the door and shout, "You're going to burn in hell." They were caught off guard when I quickly dealt Elvis a series of hard punches before he could react. He fell motionless on Linda, who screamed, begging me not to touch him. Despite her pleas, I wasn't going to end his life. I kept hitting Elvis, and then I took off the mask and saw that my old friend Elliot was hiding under it. That's when I realized that it was Elliot who ruined my wedding with Linda. Linda's screams echoed through the house as I yelled at her to shut up and called her a witch. I demanded that she get dressed and leave my house. She got scared, stopped screaming, and started crying. At this time, Elliot began to moan. Then I dragged him down the stairs to the garden and threw him into a bed of roses. I noticed his silver Audi S6 parked in my driveway. I took a hammer from the garage and smashed all the windows in the Audi with it, leaving deep scratches on the front doors. I didn't care about the consequences of my actions that terrible day, but I knew one thing for sure: Elliot will never forget the chaos that unfolded during his Saturday morning date with Linda. When I returned to the bedroom, I found Linda naked and crying on the bed. I coldly ordered her to get dressed and leave my house. "Your things will be laid out on the lawn. I will contact your father to pick them up." She tried to say something about the shower, but I interrupted her. "Shut up and get dressed. No shower in my house for you. Get ready quickly." I found Elliot's belongings, including his wallet and car keys. I looked into his wallet and came across his business cards. I grabbed one of the cards, threw the wallet on his clothes, and told Linda, "Your lover is lying naked in a bed of roses. Get dressed and get him out of my territory before I change my mind and teach him another lesson." She screamed, begging the Holy Lord to forgive her, but fear gripped her face. Hastily dressing in jeans and a t-shirt, she grabbed Elliot's things and rushed to him. Meanwhile, I went to the kitchen, picked up the cordless phone, and dialed the number listed on Elliot's card. The woman who introduced herself as Lottie answered. "Hi Lottie, are you Elliot's wife?" I asked. "Yes, and who's calling?" she replied. "My name is Hanson. We were friends 10 years ago when we were both competing for the same girl. I've been living with her for 9 years now and was planning to marry her in 3 months. But I'm sorry to inform you that Elliot showed up today and disrupted my plans. I'm confused, that's why I called you." I shared with her all the information she wanted to get and asked about Elliot's whereabouts in the days when I was accused of cheating on courses. Linda returned to the house while I was talking to Lottie. I told her the good news. "Linda, it was a call to Elliot's wife. She said that he was at home, more than 600 kilometers from the course where you, stupid fool, thought that he had caught me cheating. Now Lottie is going to divorce him because I'm a witness to his infidelity. Elliot is all yours now, Linda. She was screaming. Do you even realize how much harm you've done to Elliot? You should let him take a shower and treat the wounds from the roses. Get out of my territory before I lose my temper. Then she remembered and ordered me, Elliot wants his camera and monitor back. I grabbed the hammer, hurried into the spare room, destroyed his camera and tripod, then went into the bedroom and smashed the monitor. After that, I threw them into the back seat of his car through the broken glass and warned him to leave before it was too late. When he started threatening me with the police and lawyers, I responded by hitting his car even harder with a hammer, forcing him to drive away quickly. Linda was crying in the house. My God, what have I done? You destroyed your old family, and now you have a new boyfriend. He was your first choice 10 years ago, and now he's with you. You can't complain, you got what you wanted. I caught up with her and asked for the key to the house. She handed it over and left. I called Linda's parents, talked to my children, and instructed Linda's father to order a van to pick up her things since we broke up. When he asked me the reason for our breakup, I told him the same thing as Lottie. Shortly after that, Linda's mother called me expressing disbelief about the canceled wedding and asking me to think carefully about everything before making rash decisions. All I had to do was apologize to her and explain that I couldn't see a way out of the mess Linda had made. I informed her astonished mother that Linda thought her lover would take my place at the wedding, but there were difficulties because his divorce would be finalized within 6 months. It was a hard day for me, but I had to focus on the task at hand. So I called 6 of my friends for help. Fortunately, 4 of them were able to help me, and 1 even went to the supermarket to buy a pack of cardboard boxes. 2 wives also joined in to help their husbands pack the boxes. I took the beds out of the spare and master bedroom onto the lawn and used an electric chainsaw to chop them into pieces. I didn't care that the bed in the bedroom was expensive and almost new. I also didn't hesitate to cut up the kitchen table and chairs where Linda and Elliot had coffee before the show started. I packed my clothes, personal belongings, and things from the nursery in the garage with the help of my friends. The house was completely emptied by 4 o'clock. I informed my father-in-law that the house had already been cleaned, and Linda could take whatever she wanted from the lawn. Everything that remains by Monday evening will be taken to the city landfill. He mentioned that he had ordered a van and 2 friends who would help him. After that,